We're now at the end of part 5. Let's just quickly do a summary of what we've dealt with in part 5b. So the first thing we spoke about was trend versus non-trend, and we went through the characteristics of what trend looks like and what non-trend looks like. Now, what I want to just point out, and the crux of why we talk about trend and non-trend, is that the most important thing is when a market is moving sideways, it's okay to employ various strategies that are, maybe not momentum strategies, maybe sort of more distribution type strategies, looking for those tails at tops and bottoms, looking for the market to not leave a lot of the low volume areas and single prints and things we've discussed, or the anomalies we've discussed previously. However, when we are in trending markets, what we don't want to do then is expect to employ the same types of strategies that we've utilized in non-trending markets. So that was the key, and that's why we talk a lot about trend versus non-trend, because it's that context of trend versus non-trend that will determine whether or not our strategies will be effective or not. Now, we then went on and we spoke about a few of the the types of profile, volume profile day types you can expect. Let's briefly go through them. So our first one is the normal day type. Now, the most important thing to understand about the normal day type is that we have a very large opening move in the market. So a very large range in the initial balance period, or in that initial pre-cash session, whether it's in the E-minis or the commodities or the FX market. So we get a very wide initial period. The market then spends the rest of the day within that initial period just filling out the market up and down and up and down, and effectively just forming a nice normal day. Now, these are relatively rare, but the nice thing about them is we get that identifier or that clue very early on in the session. So that was our first day type. Our next day type was the neutral day type. Now, the neutral day type effectively is very similar, except we have an opening trade where the market sort of has a much smaller initial range, but we then extend on both sides of that range, but equally end up just distributing on both sides of the initial period. Now, the important thing to understand with this day type is the close. Do we have a normal close in value, or do we have an extreme close to which we need to pay attention for an early identifier for the next day? Now, our third example we spoke about was the normal variance. Now, a normal variance, as the word variance suggests, is where we have a little bit of non-symmetry in the market. So the P shape and the B shape, where the P shape is effectively we get initiative early on in the morning, the market rejects, and we then start accepting prices higher. Equally, the B shape, which is the long liquidation, buyers initiate, they run into very strong selling, and they forced lower, and the market then distributes lower. So that was our normal variance day type. Those three day types were our non-trending day types. We then had our two trending day types, which firstly was the double distribution and then the traditional trend. Now, the double distribution, very simple. We have two distributions, with the trend being a trending market with loads of different types of distributions. Again, these were very aggressive, strong type initiative profile trading types, and they have various strategies which we will begin to develop later on in Module 2 and 3. So we then moved on, and we had a very nice table, a very important table, where we identified what these 5 day types are, what they look like, what the key characteristics are. Remember, if you can identify a day type very early on, you can employ the right kind of strategy and take advantage of that before other people start to receive information of what is occurring. Don't forget, the more information is in the market, the more likely prices are going to be priced correctly. We then moved on and we finished with the confidence table, or the level of bias and confidence in the market, and we said we move from our least confident day type all the way to our most confident day type. We then finished we then finished part 5, and we spoke about how the trading process would occur. And it's very simple. We always start off with that intuitive / edge feeling / idea. In other words, we have an idea in mind, we see something, it makes sense to us, and that gives us the initial sort of we want to respond. But that's not enough to respond, guys. You have to have something objective. And we spoke a lot about objectivity versus subjectivity in Module 1. Now, that objectiveness will come from the volume profile. And that volume profile can be any number of factors, but it's important we have that objective identifier to give us the action on the idea or the edge or intuition that we may have. And then last but not least, time will regulate this opportunity and tell us, it gives us very important information as to how the opportunity is playing out. That is the end of part 5. I hope you've enjoyed some of these principles, and I hope you've enjoyed, more importantly, that we've started to develop a few basic strategies and pattern plays on what you're learning throughout the module so far. Good luck, and we'll catch you again in part 6.